Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And today I'm going to be doing my March reading wrap up. As always, I will be separating this video into genres. So we're going to have mystery, cozy mystery, thriller, and then I have two that I'm going to put in fiction that are just kind of random reads for me. And yeah, let's go ahead and start with our cozy mysteries. So one of my favorite cozy mystery reads this month was Pop Goes the Murder by Christy Abbott. This is the second in the Popcorn Shop mystery series. I just love this mystery series so much, and I have the third book behind me and it's the last in the series, and I am so bummed about that. Our main character in this is Rebecca, and she opens a popcorn shop called Pops in the first book, and in this one her ex-husband, who's a celebrity chef, follows her. He's gonna film like a segment on her and on like her shop and everything, and one of his like assistants ends up murdered and he's a suspect. And even though she doesn't, adore her ex-husband, she knows he's not a murderer, so she tries to help him out. There's an adorable poodle named Sprocket. So cute. So much personality. I love the characters in this. I love the writing. I love the town. I love the popcorn. I'm so sad there's only one book left. A new to me series that I read this month in one of my reading vlogs, which I'll link above, was Kibbles and Death by S.A. Coslow. This is a Samantha Davies mystery. It is book one in the series, and our main character is Samantha Davies. I think she's about in her 50s. She's had a nasty divorce and she's trying to get her life back on track. She is a hooker. She's like a rug hooker. So there is quite a bit of like craftiness in this, and then her Dachshund Porkchop really steals the show. Her and her cousin are kind of like a dynamic sleuthing duo, which I love. And she's also trying to publish a book about her dog, like featuring them as like the children's book star. So this is a very like dog heavy cozy mystery. I just love so many aspects of this. But of course she comes across a dead body at the animal shelter. This kicks off her investigation. I love her and her cousin Candy. They're such a funny pairing, and I'm so looking forward to continuing this series. It's very, very short. It's under 200 pages, so if you're looking for something fun and short, this is a nice read. Staging is Murder by Grace Topping. I listened to this on audio. This was one of my 15 most anticipated series that I wanted to start this year, and it's currently included on Audible, the first book, if you are interested. But this is a very unique cozy mystery. I really love this. So our main character in this, she is a house stager. So basically, unlike an interior designer who tries to make a house to your preferences and like the vibe you want for your home and all that, she actually stages homes that are for sale. That way they're more attractive to buyers. So she clears out clutter, she touches up paint, she rearranges furniture so it's more open and inviting and that sort of thing. So it's really interesting. And in this one, she is working at someone's home. It's her first official job, and her assistant, unfortunately, is a suspect in a murder, so she gets involved. I really liked this. I thought it was a great audiobook to listen to while I was like cooking and stuff. I thought the home staging stuff was so unique and interesting. I've never seen a cozy with that topic. I've never really learned much about home staging. And each chapter, it kind of reminds me of the Domestic Diva series by Krista Davis, but it starts with a little tip about home staging, or like how to like create a nice ambiance in your home, and I just found that to be so fun. So I feel like if you like the Domestic Diva series by Krista Davis, this one might be kind of comparable, sort of similar vibes. Not quite the same with like the family craziness, but just like the domestic aspect with the home staging business that she's launching and making the home beautiful, and I just really, really enjoyed it. Twisted by Ginger Bolton. This is the next book that I was reading in the Deputy Donut mystery series. This does take place in late spring, and Emily is our main character. She is a widow. Her husband was a police officer who died in the line of duty years before the series started. She's trying to move on with her life, very difficult, of course. She's got this adorable cat, Deputy Donut, which is what they've named the donut shop. She actually runs it with her father-in-law, which I love. I think he's a great character. And this one was pretty good. It wasn't my favorite from the series. I feel like the mystery was a little all over the place, but it was still like a 4-star read for me. I think this series has so much heart. I love the characters. The donut scenes are amazing. There's a lot of good seasonal reads in this and holiday ones. Like I love Boston Scream Murder and Deck the Donuts, which are Halloween and Christmas ones. So if you're looking for a foodie cozy mystery or one that's very cat heavy, this is a really fun series to check out. Cake and Punishment by Mamie Bell, also known as Tony Capez. There are only 2 books in this. It is the Southern Cake Bakery mystery series. And this one's all about a character who's come back home to a small town in the South. Her mom is thrilled she's back home, but she's leaving this possible like big job opportunity where she was working with her boyfriend who she found cheating on her, and she's very upset, of course. So she comes back and she gets roped into baking a big cake for her friend's wedding after the local chef that was going to do it was murdered. So this kind of sparks her inspiration to like get into cake decorating more, and she falls in love, of course, with the, you know, very classic cozy mystery hometown like coming back storyline. But I just had so much heart. I loved all of the Southern references, the cake. This was a really fun one for like spring or summer because the wedding aspect was very heavy in this one. There's only 2 books though, and I'm really sad about that. There's only 2 books in this series, which is such a bummer. Lending a Paw by Laurie Cass. This is the first in the Bookmobile Cat Mystery series. I read this with my patrons for March. It was our book club pick. I loved it. I loved it. This has been on my TBR. I think I had it on my series to start list like 2 years ago. Didn't quite get to it, obviously. But I love this. Our main character in this is Minnie, and she's literally followed home by Eddie, her cat-to-be, in this one. And she's launching a new program at her local library. She's a librarian there, to basically start a bookmobile program where she'll drive around the county to other places that don't have as much like access to libraries or books, which is incredible. So I love the kind of on the road bookmobile vibes. I love Eddie, her cat. I love that she's kind of a very type A person because I relate to that. Like, she's very kind of obsessive about being on time, and I'm the type who, if I'm not 5 minutes early, I'm late. Like, that's my, I don't know, I have a hard time. Like, if I'm like a minute late, I get so stressed out. So I could completely relate to her. I thought she was a great character, a great sleuth. This takes place in Michigan. I thought this was just such a fun read, and I believe this took place in May, like late May, so if you're a seasonal reader, keep that in mind. But yeah, I would strongly recommend this. It's bookish, it's cat heavy, it's adorable, it's got so much heart. I can't wait to continue this series. One that I unfortunately DNF'd in a vlog was The Uninvited Guests, a novel by Sadie Jones. This is, I think, first and foremost like historical fiction mystery, but it's quite cozy, and our main character is basically going to this like countryside home. There's gonna be this party, there's uninvited guests. I honestly only got a few chapters into this, which is really short for me to like DNF. Like, that's really quick for me to DNF a book. I usually give it a little more than that, but there was just something about the writing that I found to be really like dull. Like, I just I wasn't connecting with the writing. I was really struggling to like pay attention to the details. Like, it just felt like I was reading and nothing was sticking. I just didn't care for the writing style. Everything else about it seemed great. Beautiful book, but I am gonna go ahead and pass this on because it just wasn't for me, unfortunately. Chapter and Curse by Elizabeth Penny. This is another one I listened to on audio. This is the first in the Cambridge Bookshop mystery, and it involves a mother-daughter duo who move out to Cambridge, where the mother, I think, is originally from, and they're gonna help the mother's sister, the main character's aunt, with her shop out there. They have a bookshop out there, but it's really struggling financially, and then of course bodies found nearby. Her aunt is one of the suspects. It doesn't look good, and they get involved solving the mystery. So I really loved the family connections with this. I loved all the layers. It's also interesting because the main character doesn't know a lot about her English family. Like, the mom hasn't told her much over the years purposefully, so she's kind of finding out these kind of family secrets and details, which was very interesting. I thought the mystery was super well thought out, and I personally love listening to the English accent with the narration. That's always a bonus, but it was a really fantastic bookish cozy, lots of family moments, which I really like, and I loved just the little family secrets and drama that were kind of seeping out with the character as she was exploring. Yeah, and there's a really cute cat, so that always helps. And then we have Against the Club by Sherry Randall. This is the second book in the Lobster Shack mystery series. Our main character is Allie. She's a ballerina, but she is badly injured in the first book, and she's recovering and doing physical therapy like on her ankle. And she's helping her aunt at her aunt's Goalie's like Lobster Shack. I love her Aunt Goalie and her sister Laurel. Allie and Laurel are a hoot, and there's a lot of great sister moments in this. So again, very fun family in this. Love the setting on the ocean. That is so beautiful. And in this one, she goes on a lobster boat to help out a friend, and they find a body. They pull a young woman's body from the water, and this mystery is all about who is this young woman, why was she murdered, trying to identify her because no one's claimed anything about her, no one's like coming forward about her. And the mystery for this, like the motive and stuff for this really blew my mind. This one really stuck. Like, I read a lot of mysteries, so admittedly by the time I get to my reading wrap at the end of the month, I don't remember the exact details of the end of every mystery, but this one is like seared into my brain because the ending for this was so good, so intense, and just the motives, wow, blew me away. I was like, we're going there, okay? I was like, I mean, definitely still a cozy mystery, but it definitely was like a hard-hitting ending, and I really enjoy that. So this was a great one. Then I have a couple of mysteries. These are kind of general mysteries. So this one is sort of cozy. It's like cozy-esque. This author was actually at the Ashland Cozy Mystery Festival, except this one definitely has some more graphic romantic scenes and a pretty fair amount of like cursing, so keep that in mind. It's definitely got some like fun cozy vibes, but it's not a cozy mystery. And this is Chaos Desire and a Kick Butt Cupcake by Kyra Davis. This is part of the Sophie Katz mystery series, and this was fun. Sophie Katz is a mystery writer and an amateur sleuth. Her boyfriend is a private investigator, and in this one she gets involved with a stalking case, which was the ending I didn't see coming. Like the whodunit behind everything, I was like, and the reason the cupcake is in the title, if you know, you know. I was like, okay. So this one definitely involves quite a bit of drama with her relationship. There's quite a heavy subplot on that, but her investigation skills and just her personality and the humor that was infused into the writing was top-notch. Really amazing. I would like to read more from the series. I think it would actually be really funny on audio as well to like listen to it, because the character has like some really funny inner like dialogue moments. But I really enjoyed this series and I'm looking forward to reading more from it. Also, how cute is it that each like chapter starts with a cute like little quote and like a comedy quote, and then we have like the cupcake there. I just think that is so cute. So I am gonna go back. This one was like far into the series. I'm gonna go back and try to read more from this. One that I DNF'd, it wasn't for me. This is called The Good Girls by Claire Eliza Bartlett. Secrets and Lies and Somebody Dies. So this is actually a young adult mystery novel. We have The Troublemaker, The Overachiever, The Cheer Captain, and The Dead Girls. I read over half of this book and I felt like not a whole lot had happened plot-wise. It's a very intense look. You're reading from multiple points of views, all three of the girls who are alive. So The Troublemaker, The Overachiever, The Cheer Captain. I found it interesting to jump from the different points of views and learn about each girl because they are in like high school. But I just like felt like the plot wasn't moving. I was over halfway through the book and I feel like we hadn't made any progress on the actual like murder mystery part of what happened to the dead girl. Like nothing had happened. I don't know, like I was interested in the characters' lives. I thought the characters themselves were good, but plot-wise it just wasn't moving along and I had to put it down because I was just starting to really just dread reading more of it, unfortunately. So I will be passing this book along. Another DNF actually. So this is on my read it or unhaul it list for the year, which I'll link above. These are all books that I either have to read this year or unhaul them because they're books that I've had for quite a while that just, they're collecting dust. It's time to read them or pass them on if I'm not going to. And this one, unfortunately, I made it to about like a third of the book in. I'm almost 100 pages in. And this is Thin Ice by Paige Shelton, and I wanted to love this so much. I love Paige Shelton's Dangerous Type cozy mystery series and then her Scottish Bookshop mystery series. This is a general mystery. It's like adult mystery. There's some cursing, a little more violence. The main character is a thriller writer who escapes from a kidnapping attempt, and then she flees to the small town in Alaska. It takes place during the summer, and she takes on like a persona and stuff to try to hide from the stalker while the police hunt them down. So great premise. And then while she's at the town, a murder happens. She gets involved solving that. Great premise. Everything about that I love. I love the Alaska setting. It's very isolated and cut off from the rest of the world. But again, it just felt like the plot was not moving along. It just felt like the biggest information dump. And a lot of it was told in the past tense. We're being told about the stalker event and being told about what Beth did to, you know, move out to Alaska as fast as possible and like safely do it from the hospital to Alaska. And we're being told, it was just like everything was being told to us. It was a lot of like information dump. But when you look at what actually had happened in the span of 100 pages, not much had actually happened. And I am so truly bummed about this. I really thought this was going to be a hit. and it just wasn't. I'm really bummed. This is honestly the saddest. Like, I'm looking at the stack around me. This is like the one I'm most bummed about that I DNF'd this month. But I just couldn't bring myself to read more, so yeah, I'm DNFing it, unfortunately. Okay, thrillers. So we actually had a pretty darn good month with thrillers. I recently finished Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. I read this in one day. I finished this yesterday. I was live streaming with you guys. Oh goodness, this was so fun. So the premise is, one morning he's your husband, by nightfall he's a criminal, and these are his famous last words. So this takes place in summer. It's a very summery, hot, like cozy mystery. And our main character is Camilla, and she is married. She has a young child, and she wakes up one morning, her husband has gone. You know, she's assumed he's gone to work. And later on that day, the police visit her, and they tell her that her husband is involved in a hostage situation. But he's the one holding other people hostage. And she is floored because her husband has no criminal record. He is like a very nice, easygoing guy. Like, she is stunned, shocked, like can't believe it. But of course they need to talk to her, interview her, try to get as much details as they can. This book went in so many directions. It was fun, it was twisty. I really enjoyed this. This is my first book by this author, and I'm definitely looking for more recommendations. If you guys have a favorite book from Gillian McAllister, Gillian McAllister. I have a really hard time. I always forget the G, I think is pronounced as a J. But if you have any suggestions from Gillian McAllister, please let me know. I couldn't put this down. I flew through this. Like, I absolutely loved this. I wish I could say more, but I really don't want to give anything away. I just love the different turns this took, and I was just always on the edge of my seat. Like, I really couldn't put this down. You're also reading from the point of view of the hostage negotiator, which was really interesting. I would still say this is very much like a domestic thriller, but it was very interesting to see his point of view from like a professional lens. I found that to be really interesting. So definitely would recommend this. This was a strong 4.5 stars. I had like one little critique where I felt like the writing sometimes was a little repetitive. Like, I can't tell you how many times the author mentioned that Camilla is an introvert. Like, that came up so many times, and I was like, okay, I get it. She's an introvert. Like, I'm an introvert too. That's cool. But like, it was mentioned so many times that I was kind of like, okay, I remember this detail. You only said it like 20 pages. That's like my smallest, like, little nitpicky critique. This was such a strong thriller. I really recommend it. What Never Happened by Rachel Housel Hall. Wow, okay, so this one has a fascinating premise. This is I would say 4-star read for me overall. I will give you the main reason for my 4-star rating is that this is about 400 pages, and it really could have, like, we could have chopped maybe like 50 pages or so. Like, I felt like there was a little too much fluff, a little too much repetition, but overall very strong read. We have our main character Colette, aka Coco. She and her family live on this island, and her family is brutally murdered one night. So she comes back home. She had snuck out as a teenager, and they are all gone. And she identifies a man who was there. He's put in jail. She moves on with her life as an adult. She comes back to the island though to handle some things because her family had left her the house since she was the only surviving member. She's got to deal with her aunt, who is a real... You will not like her aunt. I don't like her aunt. Okay, anyways. And she starts writing, she's an obituary writer. She gets hired by a friend at the local newspaper just while she's there to kind of keep her writing portfolio active. And she starts to notice a strange pattern with these elderly women who just, it seems like a lot of them are passing away, and they're showing up where they're like far away from their homes. Like, it's really weird and odd, and she picks up a pattern and she thinks there might be a serial killer on the island. The ending for this, when I tell you I was floored, I was stunned, wow. Absolutely, I really recommend this. I cannot wait to read more from this author. This was definitely a super promising, exciting, thrilling read to me, and yeah, this is a great one for spring or summer. Again, we're talking like kind of a tropical island, got the flowers going on. Perfect read. Angel Fire by Lisa Unger. This was a pretty strong read. I'm gonna say this is much more of a mystery. It says gripping debut thriller. So this is by Lisa Unger. She wrote it as Lisa Missioni. And this is book 1 in the Lydia Strong mystery series. It says it's a debut thriller. I would argue this is more mystery thriller. Just keep that in mind, it's more slow burn. But basically Lydia Strong, her mother was murdered when she was a young child, and this has kind of turned her into, she's become very obsessive about true crime. She writes about it, she really gets intent with these stories, and she notices these three kind of outsiders who are murdered and the police haven't connected them, but she thinks it's a serial killer. And just the reason that this is called Angel Fire alone was stamped in my head. All thoughts on this? This was a strong mystery. I wouldn't say it was super, like, it would, if you go into this wanting like a fast-paced thriller, I don't think you'd be happy, but I think this was a good setup with a really interesting character, and I think the mystery itself was really good, so I would consider reading more from this series personally. Everyone is Lying. This was a NetGalley arc that I read this month. It actually comes out on the 31st of March, so it'll be released by the time you see this. I gave this 2.75 stars. I really wanted to like this a lot more than I did, but so basically we have this main character, and she is married, she's happy, she's having like a good life and everything, but in her past she was kind of like, she was like one of these kind of girls at these parties with these like very wealthy college student like men who had like a lot of money to fling around. So it was kind of like shady work that she was doing, and one night 3 of her co-workers, the other girls, were murdered. She witnesses this, she gets away, she restarts her life. But someone knows the truth because they start leaving her these origami birds, which are a reference to her past. So she's starting to kind of get threats about what could happen to her. I thought the premise for this was really strong. I was really curious about it. I thought it started off well, but like nothing, it like really dragged out. It felt just so slow and sluggish. The ending didn't surprise me in like the slightest. I didn't really feel like anything was satisfying and the way it was concluded. So I gave it 2.75 stars because like the main character was pretty good, the premise was good, the beginning was pretty interesting, I was pretty invested then, but it fell flat for me, unfortunately. The Unquiet Bones by Loreth Ann White. So this is the author of The Maid's Diary, which I read last month. That is a fantastic thriller. This one, again, I think leans more towards like mystery thriller, I'm gonna say. And what I love about this is our main character is a homicide detective, Jane. She is 9 months pregnant, about to give birth. She's very conscious of the importance of life because of her current condition. And she is involved in this decades-old case of the death of a teenager when their body is discovered, the Unquiet Bones. And there are these other like friends who are now adults who might be connected to that teenager's death, and they are starting to get very antsy. And those friends are called the Shoreview Six, and they had made a pledge to one another many, many years ago when this happened to keep secrets. And those secrets are going to come out now. I love the title of this. It's very eerie, a very, very strong mystery. Again, more mystery than thriller in my opinion, even though it was kind of classified as a thriller. But I think this was a really interesting murder investigation. I enjoyed reading from many different perspectives. So you're reading from the different friends in the Shoreview Six. You're reading from, of course, the main character, Jane's perspective. You also get a little bit of mixed media with reading some memories or emails or transcripts, which I liked. I just thought that this was a really well-written mystery. This is my second book by this author. I've really enjoyed it. This one, The Maid's Diary, was more fast-paced and a little more what I was looking for, but this was still really strong. If it sounds interesting, I would read it. I'm definitely looking forward to more books by this author, and if you have any recommendations from them, please let me know. This next one was a complete departure for me. I read this for a reading vlog that's linked above, and this was Do What Godmother Says. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this one involves 2 characters. We are following one young woman who is in her late 20s. She is in present times, and she is having a lot. She's kind of helping her grandmother go through her home, her attic, and her grandmother gives her this painting that they've had, and that's kind of the painting you see on the cover. I think it's the general gist of that, but this painting was done during the Harlem Renaissance by a not very well-known painter, but they were like a family friend and the family acquired it, they've passed it through generations, and now it's being passed on to the main character. She starts to feel like a very strange connection to the painting and starts to research it. What I really appreciated about Do What Godmother Says is that the main character in the present timeline really openly suffered with anxiety, which I think is a common issue for a lot of people. I think all of us maybe either struggle with it ourselves, know someone who does. It's pretty common, unfortunately, and it was just really nice to have that kind of out in the open. And both characters are definitely under a certain amount of, like, it's definitely a thriller. I saw on Goodreads it was actually classified as like part horror, and I'm not I'm certainly no expert on horror. I stay away pretty much from horror. You guys know me, thrillers are about as intense as I go. But when I looked up the difference between a thriller and a horror, I still felt like it felt more like thriller to me, where the main characters are kind of in imminent danger, whether that's a physical, psychological, and it was some kind of mystery plot. I don't know. Maybe if you know, if you've read it, or you're more of you read thrillers and horrors and you can tell me maybe a good definition between the two, I would love to hear it. I'm definitely a novice when it comes to horror, but I wanted to note that it is a very intense read. I really enjoyed both timelines, which is something notable. I loved the 1920s timeline with the artists that we're reading from, but then I also equally loved reading from the present, kind of the mystery behind the painting. Fascinating. Godmother, and what was terrifying about this was that in the back, like in the notes, it said that this godmother person who is not as, she's like a patron of the arts basically, so she's the patron to this Harlem Renaissance artist who paints the painting that the main character has in the future, and she's not a benevolent patron, she's very controlling and odd, and there's some a little more than just eccentric, let's put it that way. But this person was actually based on a real life person in the Harlem Renaissance who actually was a patron to artists like Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston, which I had no idea about. I'd never heard about this part of history, even though I remember studying the Harlem Renaissance, but I'd never heard about this person. So let me know if you do. I think she was actually called the godmother of the Harlem Renaissance, which now makes me want to go down a rabbit hole, like to learn about this like side of history, because I did not know that this person, like the fact that she's based on a real person, at least like the idea of her, is terrifying. Needless to say, this was a 5-star read for me. I was truly, like, it's one of those stories that won't leave me. You could ask me what the story is about a year from now and I'd be able to tell you very clearly. Whereas, again, you know, I read a lot of mysteries and thrillers, not everything clicks as much, but this one being a 5-star read, it's just like seared into my brain. It was a very gripping, intense read that I so enjoyed. Another one I really loved this month was Cross My Heart by Megan Collins. I had a really good thriller month, actually. The only one I didn't love was That Everyone Is Lying, that I gave 2.75. I don't actually think I had any thriller DNFs, which is pretty rare actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Hey, there we go, look at that. I had some DNFs in my other genres, but I don't think I actually had one in my thrillers, which is pretty unusual. But I loved this book by Megan Collins. So we have our main character, Rosie, and she is a heart donor recipient. So we're reading, she's recovered mostly now from the procedure, but she had a heart transplant, and she connects over this platform called like Donor Connect anonymously to the husband of the wife who had passed away, she now has the wife's heart. But she becomes really obsessed with the husband, and like she basically, the concept is that she has his wife's heart but now she wants his. And this is so creepy, and you will think you know where things are going with this, but there was like a moment in this book where I truly jaw dropped. I was just like, didn't see that coming. Did not see that coming. There were a lot of things I loved about this. The main character, Rosie, actually works at a bridal shop. Her parents own it. She's had a lot of struggle recently in her life. She's had a lot of bad luck with romance, and you kind of learn why. And oh, it was just like this very obsession-driven, creepy, domestic, psychological thriller, but then it takes you in places you didn't know it was gonna do, and then you're also reading the Donor Connect messages, so there's a little bit of mixed media there, which I really liked, because they're kind of like an email, like message form between the author and Rosie, and the author also, his wife who had passed away, whose heart she has, there's rumors that he might have actually done something to his wife, so that's something else she'll explore. Super fascinating, a really great read. I loved this so much. And then last but not least, I have Count My Lies by Sophie Stava. So this was my book of the month pick, and I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a really great read. It's actually quite short. It feels like it's over 300 pages, but it just feels like a very thin book. But our main character in this is Sloane, and she is a liar. So, you know, keep this in mind, depending on what kind of narrator and stuff you like. It is a stat, like the first line of the synopsis is Sloane Caraway is a liar. And it's usually about little things, maybe just to make her life sound more exciting, you know. You actually learn the backstory of why she is the way she is with the lying, and it really broke my heart. I was like, oh, poor Sloane. Anyways, basically one day she's at a park and she sees this father with his daughter, and the daughter is like stung by a bee, and she comes up to him and she lies about being a nurse, basically, to get the father to trust her so she can help the little girl. Okay. I mean, not great, but like not like the world's worst thing. She had good intentions. She wanted to help the little girl. Okay. Problem is then the husband tells his wife about this, and him and his wife want to hire her as like a live-in nanny for the little girl who does have some type of like medical condition. So they really want someone with some medical experience. So yeah, but she continues lying. She also tells them she has a different name. Like, she just kind of takes on this whole persona. And basically, because of her lies, she enters this really wealthy luxury neighborhood. You know, the husband and wife seem like they're perfect, they're super attractive, they got it going on, you know, like they seem like they got their life together. But do they? I don't know. We're gonna find out. But this was good, and that ending, some of it I put together, and then other parts I was absolutely like, nah, didn't see that coming. And I just really enjoyed Sloane as a character. She's very flawed, clearly, but it's just very interesting to read from her perspective. And then last but not least, I actually have two random kind of fiction reads. I have a cozy fantasy that's also historical fiction. It's a very interesting genre blend. And then I have like kind of a general fiction. So let's start with the general fiction. This is The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters. This is the winner of the Barnes & Noble Discover Prize. And this book, I'm so glad I read this. This is definitely, you know me, guys, I read almost primarily mysteries and thrillers, but both of these books were so good, and I'm so glad I read them. Okay, I'm gonna read the name so I hopefully don't mess it up, but we're basically following two storylines. We have July 1962. We are reading about the traditions of Indigenous workers who are arriving in Nova Scotia to berry pick, and they are part of we have the Micmac family who arrives in Maine to pick blueberries that summer. And basically you're reading from one of the children's perspectives, the brother, and he is the last person to see his young sister before she disappears. There's just no sign of her. She just vanishes off the face of the earth. And then we're also following a different timeline in Maine of a young girl named Norma and her growing up over the years. So you're reading over decades in this book, and from both points of views. And from Norma's point of view, she is in this very affluent family. She's well taken care of, but her family's a little odd. There seems to be some things that don't make sense. They're sometimes a little controlling, and she starts to wonder about her family history. She also has these reoccurring dreams and nightmares. She has there's some discrepancies in what her family's told her about her history, and she starts to wonder if they're not telling her something. And I feel like, you know, listening to the general storyline of this, you probably have maybe a general idea of where the book is going, but this book will take you through the ringer emotionally. I was in tears, multiple different chapters. The ending made me properly cry. I was so, oh my goodness. If you're looking for like an emotionally hard-hitting book, this is a really good one. Wow. Just the family, the exploration of the loss and the grief, and Norma trying to figure out this family's secret, and then this family who's lost their youngest child and how that's affecting them over the years, and how this influences the brother's life through the decades. And it's just, oh goodness, I mean, I truly, wow. This is a book I would actually like reread. That's how much I really enjoyed it, and just the close look at the characters, and I don't know, there's just something so gripping about it, and the writing is beautiful. I like how this quote puts it: a stunning debut about love, race, brutality, and the balm of forgiveness. And I think that's a really great summary from People. So yeah, all I can say is I highly recommend this. It was 5 stars for me. Very much outside my normal reading genres, but I was just emotionally like crushed and in tears and happy and thrilled, and it was just every emotion. The other book I read that was a little less emotional but very, very good is The Magician's Daughter by H.G. Perry. And the cover on this, I mean, just the stunning artwork. So off the coast of Ireland, there's an island called High Braceal, which is hidden by magic. And our main character is I'm gonna make sure I say it right, Biddy. So she is in her teens at this point, and this is the only home she's ever known. She lives there with this magician who is like a father figure to her, and this rabbit like familiar, which I love rabbits. And the wizard's name, or like the wizard magician, whatever you want to call him, his name is Rowan. And one night he ventures out into the real world, because she does know there's like the normal world with other people and things like that, but she's never ventured off the island herself. And he ventures off there to like get food and stuff for them, and he doesn't return. And she's forced to go venture into the real world for the first time. And she you know, and this, what I liked at there's so many things I love about this, but one of the things about this is that there's so many literary references. So there's like references to A Little Princess and like Anne of Green Gables and like all of these literary classics. So if you're a book lover, I feel like that alone is really amazing. But it's also a bit of historical fiction because you're reading from different parts in history. I don't even, like I said, you guys know I do not read a lot of fantasy, but this was such an impressive read. I mean, the characters, I loved Biddy. I loved all the complicated emotions she was going. This is like a true coming of age story, coming into her own as a person, exploring the outside world, finding out what happened in her past, because she knows that Rowan isn't her father, but she's not sure, like, are her parents still out there? She has no idea. And it's also about her kind of protecting the island's magic and the magic in the world, and it's just one of those stories that just gives you life. Truly, I love this. Like, I would also consider rereading this again. These were two very unique reads to me, but ones that I truly loved so much. Anyways, guys, that is the end of this March reading wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know down below, what did you read in March? What were your favorite books that you read? Have you read any of the books I talked about? What were your thoughts on them? I would love to hear it, even if your opinions are different than mine, and that's what makes reading fun. I love discussing these things with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new. I upload new videos every week on my channel, all in bookish, cozy kind of content. So if you like anything with a mystery at the heart of it, whether that's cozy mysteries, murder mysteries, thrillers, I talk about it here. Thank you guys again, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!